both co-hosts. Okay, yeah. Stephanie Scafa is the project manager for 2022, which she'll talk a little bit about. And Andy Vabora, who we know from the Eugene Club, is with Travel Lane County. They are going to be talking to us about Hayward Field. Yay! And I'm sure they'll have some slides of pretty pictures to show us as well. So go ahead and take it away, you guys. I'll wrap up the meeting about 3 minutes until 1. So leave some time for questions and answers, okay?
Yeah,
Thanks.
that sounds great. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, everyone, for having us. We're excited to be sharing information about the World Championships in track and field. My name's Stephanie. I work for the city of Eugene. So just kind of getting everybody on the same page. Like a few years ago, we found out we got the bid as a community for the event in 2015. And at that time, the city's leadership decided that it would be important to designate somebody to just kind of like herd cats and work with external partners on an overall community vision for how to engage the whole community, knowing that this really prestigious track meet was going to be coming here. So that's my role. I work a lot with Andy and his colleagues at Travel Lane County, as well as the folks at Oregon 22, which is the local organizing team for the World Athletics Championships, which we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to just share a presentation that should take about 20 minutes. I'm going to just try to keep it kind of shorter so we could have a dialogue at the end. And then Andy's really like the business assistance lead for this event. And so in thinking about how you all could plug in, I'm excited that he is also here to be able to share some details and talk about Travel Lane County's strategy as well. So just to begin, we're talking about an event that formerly was called the IAAF Oregon 21 World Championships. In the interim time of all like a bunch of stuff happening over the past year, the event got postponed to 2022. These are the official dates. And the event is now officially called World Athletics Championships Oregon 22. And I just like to kind of preface it by saying that pretty much everywhere else in the world refers to track and field as athletics. And so this organization, formerly called the IAAF, is the global entity that puts on these type of competitions that hone in on the sport of track and field. So if people ask you like, why is it called World Athletics Championships? You can answer that question now. And so there's a team on board that is, they're really ramping up to be able to deliver this prestigious event. It's an event that happens every other year. And in 2022, this will be roughly the third largest sporting event in the world. The World Cup and the Winter Olympics are also happening that year. A lot of eyes will be on Eugene and Oregon in that time frame. And it's the first time that this event will be taking place in the US, which really makes it a big deal for us to host something of this caliber here in this amazing new stadium that we have. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the overall vision for the event and then sort of segue into how we're thinking about this event in the context of our community. So you could kind of get a sense of the overall visioning behind all the planning that's being done behind the scenes. So the event's organizing team has this powerful ambition to be the best of all worlds. And they want to do this in a number of ways. And so the strategy to become the best of all worlds involves 4 big goals. And so they're listed out here. They want to organize an unmissable world championships, optimize the resources and partnerships that are available throughout the state, maximize visibility and digital engagement, and prioritize being united in diversity. One thing I didn't mention kind of in those basic facts about the event in the beginning is that almost every country in the world is going to be represented here from international sports teams. And so there's 214, they're called federations, which are teams that will be participating, and that includes almost every country in the world. So there's really this moment to both welcome the world here and then also inspire the world with what we have going on in our community. From those major goals are these 6 strategic initiatives, and I won't read them word for word, but essentially the team at Oregon 22 is working toward building a strong brand, which I'll talk about a little bit, delivering unique experiences so that everyone feels like they're part of this celebration, building a dynamic team, driving change, especially through environmental sustainability and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, engaging partners, that's kind of where we all come in, and then digital transformation, knowing that a lot of viewers are going to be looking at this event on a device online. So really thinking about how they're using technology. And that sort of results in this world mindset, which includes these main tenets. So celebrating world diversity, being athlete inspired, being resourceful and sustainable, and then also progressive in design and delivery. You know, coming out of this pandemic, it's, I feel like in a lot of ways, it's a blessing that we were able to have some level of spectators at the trials to see how the stadium is going to be running in next year. So it's really been, it's been interesting kind of being in this like global environment, knowing we're coming out of something really hard and difficult, but we're really moving in a positive direction. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about Oregon 22's color scheme and their brand, and mostly just because I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of this imagery and creative content in the community over the next year. And so it's kind of nice to know what it means. And so this event branding package was created by AHM Brands. They're located here in Eugene, and they're the main creative content marketers for the event. So starting with just the physical, like kind of the structure of these shapes, they're representative of the physical structure of Hayward Field. And so you'll kind of see those ribs of the stadium reflected here. And starting with the smallest rib, the red is representative of all of the athletes and who are going to be competing at the venue, as well as the volunteers working there. This represents truly the beating heart of the venue and the community that we're in. The green is representative of the state of Oregon, the city of Eugene, and the University of Oregon. It honors the state's lush natural resources and eco-conscious culture. The blue is representative of the nation and youth and everyone who participates in the sport of track and field. Team USA, our national team, is the #1 track and field team in the world. And so this is the first time they're competing on home soil. This is a really big deal for them. And then lastly, the outermost rib is representative of the scale of the world. And the purple really celebrates world diversity. The color speaks to the prestige of the event and the quality of the athletes who are attending. And I'll just kind of give this primer video that came out last fall. My sound should be shared. If anything is weird with my video, just on audio and let me know, but I think it's going to share properly. So I'll share the links also afterwards. So that way, if you want to share them out with your circles, you can do that.
My journey began in Oregon,
where athletics is woven into the landscape.
a landscape of endless natural beauty. My career has taken me
Around the world.
but always come home to Hayward Field. It's the home of Track and Field USA.
A glorious, legendary venue reimagined by athletes for athletes.
A stadium whose heart beats for track and field.
A stadium that will soon be the home of the 2022 World Athletics Championships. "2,000 athletes
From more than 200 nations
and thousands of fans from around the globe
are coming for a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the first time on U.S. soil.
The world's greatest track and field stars are Hayward bound.
For world records,
For the fans,
for gold and glory,
and for the world's most prestigious track and field event.
see you at our home in 2022.
Yay, pretty exciting stuff. So this is really the part of the presentation where we sort of segue from the overall vision that the event organizers have for this experience to what we're doing in the community to really leverage this opportunity. And I would just kind of preface it by saying that to kind of like, it helps me kind of wrap my head around like the leadership that we have in our city is really seeing this moment as like one of a really unique opportunity that's not going to happen all the time. And so really thinking about how we're leveraging it to include everyone, make everyone feel like they're part of the experience, and then really shine. So over the past like 11-month hiatus of us just knowing that the event was postponed, we really have worked together as a team between our city, Oregon 22, and Traveling County to come together as a united front around working on an overall city activation strategy. And the goal for working together is really to create a never before experienced city celebration in Eugene. And it's really feeling like now with just vaccines rolling out, things starting to open back up again, it's really feeling like next summer is going to be the perfect time to really celebrate that. And so we want visitors to experience Eugene and our surrounding regions and the whole state in a number of ways. And that could be through frequenting our local businesses, going to and attending block parties and events happening in the community, using our parks and trails, going to the event itself, experiencing our arts and culture scene and entertainment, things like that. So over the past 11 months where we had some extra time to really like revision how we were thinking about this, we came together and like got clear on a lot of things. And I share these because I think it's helpful in understanding like who's sort of leading which pieces so that you all as active members in the community kind of know, start to get an idea of where you can plug into this. So the event itself, the Oregon 22 team for activating the community wants to encourage community engagement, enhance the city experience, and ensure that all services and operations are in place for the event to run. And then the city and Traveling County's shared objective is to maximize everything from our existing plans and policies to support the event, engage the community, and ultimately inspire the world. And that will result in this never before experienced city celebration. So we did this exercise where we went through and really identified who should be leading which pieces of this approach. And so for the city, our primary audience is the Eugene community. We want to create an experience that offers the entire community a sense of pride, celebration, and belonging. For Traveling County, they have an opportunity to position Eugene and the surrounding region as a premier destination for visitors by creating an emotional connection that makes people want to come back. Their primary audience is visitors. For Oregon 22, they've got a number of constituent groups, which are called out in that faded box on the right, that they need to ensure experiences this event in this particular way. So they're wanting to deliver an unmissable World Championships and ensure that all the experiences across the constituent groups meet high levels of operational excellence and embrace the heart and home experience that's unique to Oregon 22. And we did this really with the intention of like coming together around some community outcomes and then really thinking through who's going to lead which piece. So for our community outcomes, I sort of have these broken out into more immediate outcomes, like over the next year, here's really where we want to be. And then really thinking about the event as launching us into our future for how we want to dream up big things so that there isn't a lasting community-wide legacy from an event like this. So for the more immediate outcomes, we have some things lined out like people in our community being more educated about world cultures because of the event and really understanding those like global connections to our place. We want local businesses to feel included and excited and play a key role in promoting the event the year leading up to it. We want our community to be able to articulate basic facts about the event, but also about Eugene and the surrounding region so that we know where to point people with questions who might be visiting. We also want the event to play a key role in catalyzing our economic recovery efforts post-pandemic. And that's something that as a city we've been talking a lot about just since living through COVID. And then lastly, we really want visitors to feel welcome and a sense of belonging when they're here. And then for some of those further reaching community legacy outcomes, we would love for this event to catalyze a more multicultural and diverse Eugene that welcomes and inspires the world. We want to continue our track and field legacy and have people understand the importance that that sport plays in our place. And I think for anyone who isn't even a track fan, you can extrapolate kind of a more community-oriented goal around well-being and wellness from that. We also want to continue to build trust and build relationships between agencies. And ultimately, like, this is a really fun thing to work on. And we also want to build those relationships so that we're able to solve more complex problems on harder stuff as time goes on. And then we also want to create and maintain our culture of innovation, a lot of innovation in Eugene. And then we want to be able to tell our story and build partnerships around these different legacy aspects of the event. And so working with these partners, we've identified some milestones for over the next year. We have like a pretty detailed implementation plan that I won't pull up on the screen, but we are working to really identify who's leading which pieces and opportunities that arise because of the event here. And so the framework serves as this high-level overview of all of our tactics, all the partners that are going to be involved. And then from that implementation plan, we've sort of broken it into three primary buckets. So community engagement, creating an opportunity for everyone to be involved, inspired, and part of the celebration. The Eugene experience, so creating a uniquely Eugene experience for residents of Eugene, the surrounding areas, and fans from all over the world. And lastly, operations, ensuring that we have all the services that we need in place to run a successful event due to an increased number of people. And so there's a few things that Traveling County is working through, and we're also on some level involved with, are creating opportunities for business engagement. So right now, and Andy could speak to this a little bit more at the end, working on what business guides, marketing toolkits, and a citywide dressing looks like. So using the color scheme of the event to really like dress the community so everyone sort of feels like they're part of this thing. Training frontline staff in the hospitality industry, supporting programs that are supporting the energy around the event. So that could be like recreation opportunities, other hospitality kind of business opportunities, marketing and advertising associated with different aspects of the event, convention services, and then lastly, this is something I can speak directly to, the Riverfront Festival. So the city of Eugene we knew early on that the area next to Hayward that's historically been used for a free fan festival that anybody could come to at the trials in the past is actually not available to be used for that purpose during the championships. And the reason for that is because of all the broadcasters and media who are coming will be in that spot. And so we are working through the next steps to hire an event company to host basically a fan festival on the former eWeb property on the riverfront. So the new city park that's being developed right now, that area is slated for mixed use private development, and a couple of parcels will be under construction by the time next summer rolls around, but it's otherwise a pretty blank slate. And so there will be opportunities to plug in. And I think that's where predominantly Oregon-based businesses, Eugene-based businesses will be able to showcase themselves and plug into some of the excitement around the event. And then I'll just end with this video of the athletes who will be competing, talking about just their perception of coming to the US for the first time.
This is my home track.
This is the place where I'm training.
We are at Green Stadium.
A beautiful place to train.
I don't get to have super big track meets in the US a lot, so when I do hear that we're gonna have world champs at Hayward, it's like, yes!
One word that describes Hayward Field, it would be passion.
Magical.
Electrified.
I dream of holding an American flag over my shoulders on US soil.
I'm looking forward to being back there again for the World Championship in 2022.
I am already looking forward to the World Championships in Eugene, Oregon.
The home of track and field.
Eugene 2022.
And obviously in 2022, we're going to feel the glory.
感受荣耀。
Awesome. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Just gonna open it up for anybody that might have questions or things that I didn't answer that we could talk about. Thanks for having us.
Shall we move over to Andy and then open up for questions in general? I want to make sure we don't cut Andy off.
I think Stephanie did a great job.
I know.
And every time I see those videos, I start to get a little weepy because it's pretty awesome. And so I'll just speak to a couple of the business engagement ideas that we are contemplating, a little bit about that slide that Steph just had up. First of all, we wanted to really provide an opportunity for any business to get involved and kind of show off the colors and really dress up their business to show their support of the event. And so we fielded a little poll that we sent out. We had over 100 businesses that participated in that, asking them, the types of collateral materials that they might be interested in showing, whether it's a poster or a window cling, flags in their windows, different ideas like that, whether they'd be willing to pay a little money for that, and how they would like to get involved, how we could support them in, developing products or services that would, be or enhance the visitor experience while all these folks are in town. And got great response from that. And we're going to be beginning to kind of put that kit together so that the businesses can take advantage of that. And we'll roll that out later this summer and fall. Steph mentioned in their frontline training. This is one of those elements that we do a lot of work with our frontline staff, particularly in the restaurants and hotels that are partners of ours, have historically done that work. But we were transitioning to a new kind of way of looking at that effort on part of our staff. And this just sort of coordinated really well with the World Championships coming here. And so we're developing what we're calling the World Champion Host Program. And this will be a training program that frontline staff will be able to access. We're going to do it in a video format that'll be easy and quick for people to access so that we can really reach a lot of frontline staff that maybe we haven't in the past. Again, we work a lot with the hotels, restaurants, but you think about Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, taxi drivers, bus drivers, people who work at gas stations, anybody that works in a frontline situation that's going to interact with our visitors can benefit from this training. And it'll have two components, one around good guest service, second around destination knowledge and how to get that information so that they can be a good resource to visitors and let them know, hey, the fan festival is going on down at the riverfront, or the Whitaker neighborhood has a block party going on this night. So we can keep them updated about those things that they can direct people out to. So we'll be working on that, and that'll also roll out this fall. Steph mentioned in there also some other legacy type projects. We have a lot of former Olympians and current Olympians that live or have grown up here in Oregon. And one of the things that Carrie, our CEO, has been working on with staff from World Athletics and Travel Oregon is a heritage trail. This is to put heritage markers in the communities where these athletes are from and promote that so that visitors that travel throughout the state can learn about the rich history of our track athletes. And we'll have a display that we're hoping looks like it might be on display adjacent to the Fan Festival in the eWeb headquarter building during that event. So people can come in and see those markers, the map, where those are, and then we're hopeful that they'll venture out throughout the rest of the state and go visit those communities as well, because the whole state is going to benefit from this great opportunity that we have here. And then again, working with our businesses, whether it's a brewery brewing a special beer just for the event during that time, or it's working with some of our partners to develop, again, longer lasting legacy products, bookable products that will serve our community for years to come. An example of that is just the last couple of days we worked with A. Helfrich Outfitters Rafting and Fishing, and we put together 2 sets of rafting trips and urban float. You know, we've got great rafting obviously and fishing in the area, but it's typically, you know, going upriver and it takes, you know, half a day or a full day. We wanted something where people could just step on, get a 90-minute float. We've got these rivers right here in town. And so Johnny Helfrich put together 3 trips a day over the last 2 days where people could just buy into those, get a nice 90-minute float on the Willamette River. And it worked out really well. That's the type of thing we want to work with our partners on, to have those elements in place, you know, in the future for anybody to take advantage of, which we think would be a great asset. So those are the kind of things that we'll be brainstorming and working on over the coming year as well. Again, it's all kind of at a high level now, and we'll keep drilling down. More of this will roll out in the months ahead. So thank you.
Okay, Ron looks like he's got a question for somebody.
I do have a couple of questions, actually. That time during July, is that Oregon Country Fair time? And what other activities might be going on? I was thinking about Autzen Stadium, you know, for big name entertainment event that may not compete with the times of the competitions, but do you have a gauge of other events that'll be going on and what might be competing with each other?
Yeah, I could take a first crack at that, and then Andy, you can fill in. We've been really thinking about how to work with, in conjunction with things that have that might be on the calendar that happen year to year. One of the interesting opportunities, I think, with Country Fair, they're slated to, I believe, be in person the week before the championships start. And I do think that there's a lot of opportunity with the artist community and music community that's there to plug in with our Riverfront Festival. So that's something that we're going to start talking about pretty soon, since so many people come to town for that and might want to stick around. And then another big event that is, I believe they've set the dates, and I believe it's happening during the same time as the championships, is the Lane County Fair. And so we are going to be talking to them about how to co-promote and ensure that we're all sort of like working in tandem to, like, you know, share the love and share the visitors experience and things like that. But then I think those are the bigger ones. Are there others, Andy, that you could think of?
No, thankfully they're not. I mean, we're going to be pretty taxed in terms of lodging here. And I know you guys have worked as Southtowne on kind of the idea of hosting some Rotarians from around the world in a homestay, which I think is a great concept, and that one that you guys should roll out. So, you know, that's one of the key things our staff here at Travel Lane County works on, is accommodations for all these large events. And it's going to be huge. And we're working to expand our booking engine that works on our website to include hotels outside the area up and down I-5, because it will spread out. Fortunately, you know, the folks that are coming to these events are used to going to very large cities where the commute across London could take you an hour or more just to get to the venue. So, you know, staying in Salem's not going to be a big deal to these people. So lodging, though, is going to be a big issue, and we're working on creative things like RV villages and other ideas to really house all the folks that are coming to the area.
Thank you.
Happened to Chris.
So along that same line, Andy, for those of us that live here and will enjoy this event, but we have to get around, and you have to do things like buy groceries and take your kids places. And so that's one question, is what kind of a traffic management plan is in place? And just how many times do I have to refinance my house to be able to afford a ticket to attend this event?
Well, the tickets go on sale on the 15th of July, so you'll learn more about that. And they have a pre-sale sign up. So if you go to their website, you can get on their list for the pre-sale if you're interested in some of that. But in terms of transportation, you know, this year, coming out of the pandemic, that was a real challenge for the trials in particular, because the transit vehicles had limitations in terms of how many people they could put on them. So it really put a crimp in how they could move people around. So I guess that's the silver lining in not having the ability to completely fill the stadium for the trials this year. By next year, though, again, I think we'll be in better shape. The local organizing committee will put together their own transportation committee, which I assume is going to have a lot of the same people that work on transportation for a lot of these events. And they'll have a good system set up in terms of utilizing the MX system to move people to and from the campus area, in addition to probably some other park and ride shuttles like you see for the trials. So, you know, it's a big event, but it's not any different than, again, the Olympic trials that we've hosted in the past. And I think that as we've experienced those things, it moves along pretty well. And I think there's some other creative things that you'll see as well with, like, you know, the bike share system that we have. I know Archimoto is, you know, now leasing or renting their little vehicles. And I think you'll see some other creative little shuttle systems set up as well.
Anita.
Well, I have a question, because I know that when we had the Junior World Trials in the before time, I don't remember how, maybe 3 years ago, you know, whenever it was right before the pandemic. Geo at the University of Oregon campus had recruited a whole army of students who were studying other languages to work with incoming visitors. And I presume that Dennis Galvin's going to organize something similar for this. However, what you might not be aware of is that Rotary works very closely, not only our Rotary Club, but other Rotary clubs work with students in high schools. And it would be great if we could figure out a way for those high school students in our various Rotary programs can also be incorporated into this into this ambassadors program. So I don't expect you to say anything, unless you want to say anything now, but it would be great to keep that in mind if we can somehow add our Rotary students to this.
Good thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It's 1 o'clock, you guys. Next meeting is the passing of the proverbial gavel. Steph and Andy, if you can stay longer, there might be more questions. There typically is, right? While I'm saying this right now, people are going, oh, I forgot to ask. But being conscious of the time, I will do that. Happy end of June. I'll see you all next week for just a little part of the meeting. And then it's Kathy's going to be our new president, and we'll give her lots of support. Okay.
Thank you,
back to the program. Any more questions for Steph and Andy?
Thank you very much for the information. We have 3 granddaughters in Australia who are young track people, and we're sitting here talking about trying to get them here for this. So
can you say anything about the Youth Ambassadors program? Will it happen?
Yeah, I could just speak a little like to what I know. And actually, we're presenting basically a very similar presentation. So I'm less involved in the youth pieces because Oregon 22 has their own thing they want to do around youth. But since I'm the link with a lot of people in the community, I end up being at a lot of these meetings. So we're actually presenting to all the regional superintendents tomorrow to talk about what and I don't even know what their youth program looks like yet, but I feel like that's a really important tenet of the event organizers and something they're really realizing that they need to have a strategy around. And so I think that more information will be coming out about that. But in regards to the connecting up students with teams and creating those cross-cultural connections and opportunities, for the World Juniors, yes, the U of O is taking the lead again to be like the ambassador lead. But because of the scale of this, because it's bigger than the juniors, I've been working with them to just identify ways that we could plug the community in with their program, because I think they're going to have like a setup where a bunch of students who speak different